President, Chief Justice, and to the commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity.
I almost said order. Judge Boqwana, in your own words, can you just tell us why you believe you can make a difference if appointed to this court?
Thank you, Chief Justice. I've acted in the Competition Appeal Court since early 2015, and my acting has been continuous, and I'm still acting in that court. In that court, I have written and I've sat in a number of cases which have been quite significant, which I believe have made a contribution to the development of our law, and some of those matters dealt with provisions that had not yet been tested. And also as a High Court judge, I started acting as a High Court judge, as a Labour Court judge in 2011. From then I moved directly to the High Court. From the High Court, I acted for 4 terms before I was appointed on the 2nd of December 2013. So that is my work as a judge. And I believe that during my time, I have been a person who's been very hardworking, and I have dealt with all the issues quite carefully. I've thought through my judgments. I research before I write any judgments, and I've given the litigants my time. I believe that I'm a patient person. I've given them a good hearing. And I have also, as a judge of the Competition Appeal Court, done training with the professors Henry First and Eleanor Fox from the New York University. And Eleanor Fox, as we know, was very instrumental in the drafting of the Competition Act. And so the experience and knowledge that we received there was invaluable. I also have, before I was appointed as a judge, I have had exposure in commercial work as well as labor work, which I think has already come in handy in my work as a judge, as a Competition Appeal Court judge. I worked in a large corporation where I was involved in due diligences having to do with mergers and acquisitions. And one instance, one project that I was involved in had to do with a merger of Anglo Gold Ashanti, my erstwhile employer, a long time ago. So it was a merger between Anglo Gold and Ashanti Goldfields from Ghana. And so I went to Ghana and I had to look at the impact of mergers in labor relations, because one of the important aspects of competition is, especially when assessment of mergers is done, is looking at the public interest and what impact the merger would have on employment. And that is experience that I think have already come in handy. And also I have been an entrepreneur. I've worked as an owner of a small business, and I've also run a branch of a law firm, and so I understand challenges that are faced by the small businesses and competition issues. Also, whilst I was still at AngloGold, I did a course, a certificate in management development program. In that course, I had to do economics as part of that course, and which is quite important. I sat as a board member of trustees, and as we know that members in the boards of trustees have to make decisions regarding investment of funds, and you have to acquire knowledge in economics and experience in economics. So all that experience put together, I think, places me in a position where where I believe that I can be considered suitable to be appointed permanently in the Competition Appeal Court.
Judge President Davis, over to you.
Confirm. In your pack, because perhaps people in the JSC don't read our competition jurisprudence quite the way the competition authorities do, meaning that I just want to confirm that the judgment that you wrote in the Caxton, the Media 24, was the first time we'd ever had to deal with questions of control.
Correct. That was the first time, because before we hadn't had a case that looked at what constitutes the ability to materially influence the policy of a firm. And so that case was the first one that dealt with that matter. And it also became important in the case that followed of SABC and Caxton and SABC and MultiChoice.
And that judgment, if I could just clarify, although we wrote that together, I want to just make it perfectly clear that your contribution there was the major contribution because it flowed, in a sense, from what the hard work that had been done in the previous one.
Yes.
Now, can I then ask you, you raised the question of economics, and I'm just, having been a High Court judge and moving into the area of competition law, just a sense that you have of the nature of a specialist court and the relation and the need to kind of understand some of this economics that, I mean, people talk about all the time. How have you found that?
I think I found it quite important. I think it's important for judges to have an understanding of the nuances of economics. And I think it's quite important because the legal concepts that we deal with may not in themselves be understandable without that understanding and the understanding of the economic basis. And I think it is, maybe one may not necessarily acquire that kind of expertise in one or two matters that would come before you in the High Court. And I think, in my view, there is a place for expertise to be built and increased for judges to continue doing and specializing in competition work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've been battling with introducing economics in the curriculum of the South African Judicial Education Institute because learning from the Germans is going to be very difficult for a judge to deal with a matter involving the economy without the benefit of some induction or orientation in economics. Would you be available to assist should we call upon?
Yes, definitely, Chief Justice. It's obviously sometimes quite intimidating, as it's been shown in the cybercrime training that I'm currently doing. In that training, I've trained judges, including judges of the higher courts, and it was quite an intimidating experience, but I did make myself available, and I would definitely do that.
Thank you. Commissioners? Dr. Mutseka, and then
No. I wanted to ask a question on interpersonal relationships. Now I can see you are doing very well that side, so I'll close the matter.
Commissioner Singh.
Thank you very much. I think Commissioner Malema's got no questions. Chief Judge, good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
I note that you've been supported by the BLA, ARMSA, and another organization here, but for some reason or other, the National Bar Council of South Africa, I don't know if you've read what they've said.
Yes, I have read it.
Can you respond to that? And
In fact, I think that my experience should be placed in context, as I've already outlined, that it doesn't start on the 2nd of December 2013, as the National Bar Council would seem to suggest. And I also have not only done 5 cases, I think they only looked at the cases that were listed in the questionnaire, because the questionnaire only asks you for a few cases. And so they say that I've done 5 cases, but I've done hundreds of cases in all the courts that I've sat in. So it's not a fair comment. And also what I've found is that most of the comments, in fact, are actually quite positive in that same letter, and only the recommendation and a few other comments are not positive. So I don't agree with them. And also I think the General Bar Council actually supports me, and including the Cape Bar, which I interact with on a daily basis.
my last question, Chief Justice, is you are relatively young compared to many of us here. And it's great that you are there on the bench.
Thank you.
That's relatively young compared to me and the others around here. Interjection is not allowed, Chief Justice. Not National Assembly.
Well, maybe he
what
was rising on a point of order.
What I'd like to know is, it's good to see people like you as role models. Since you've been appointed as a judge, what kind of advice or how have you conducted yourself in public to be able to influence other young, especially black women,
Yes.
to follow the legal path and then to follow your
Yes.
example?
In
What
fact,
have you done?
I have actually gone to give talks in women formations and legal bodies, and I've tried to encourage women because I want them to know that it is possible for a young woman to practice in this in specialized areas of the law, as well as it is possible for a woman to become a judge. And so I've encouraged them. I've gone to give public talks at schools, including universities as well, to encourage people in that regard.
Thank you. You are excused, Judge Boqwana.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice and the Commissioners. I appreciate the
you.
opportunity.